Hello, welcome back to another episode of Echoes of the Willow podcast. Again, I'm your host, Brad, and there's been a bit going on in my family today. So my son, he woke up feeling pretty sick. He said his stomach was hurting, and he ended up throwing up most of the day, on and off for about every hour and a half. He'd throw up for about 5-10 minutes. And I called the pediatrician's office and they told me to bring him in. So we took him in. They ran a few tests and they just determined it was just probably a 24-hour viral bug. And they prescribed an anti-nausea medication, told him to keep up on Gatorade and trying to eat some crackers or something light just to stay hydrated and keep some energy in his body. So we've been working on that. He's still going through some throwing up. We're going on to probably about 20 hours or so now, and hopefully he'll be all finished up here shortly. I was thinking about life. We just go through so many different sicknesses and illnesses, and it's just, I don't know. For me personally, throwing up has got to be up there among one of the least pleasant things to go through. Obviously, there's other illnesses and terminal illnesses that are way worse, but when we're just talking about your standard everyday sickness, throwing up is up there at the top of the list of things to avoid. Now, fortunately, he doesn't have COVID, doesn't appear to be a flu. He was running a little bit of a fever, but I think he's slowly regaining his strength. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't feel like I fully appreciate being healthy than after getting sick. It's just something about getting sick and then you get better and you feel so much relief and you think to yourself, man, I'm so glad I feel so much better now. I'm so glad I'm healthy. It's just, health is one of those things I think people take for granted. And I think it's something we should be a little more on top of. For me, one thing I started doing this year is I started working out, started going to the gym every morning. It's been a challenge for me off and on over the years. I was really good at going to the gym when I was a teenager and a young adult, but I don't know, maybe after getting married and having kids and just life happening, getting jobs, things like that, I just found myself living more of a sedentary lifestyle. And for me personally, last year or so, we're talking 2023, I went in for an annual exam and did a full panel of blood tests, and my results revealed I had high cholesterol. And the doctor told me that he wants me to work on it through exercise mostly. I can make some dietary changes as well. So that reawakened the exercising bug in me. I started exercising and then I took another break. But anyways, I'm back to it. So health and wellness is something that's heavily on my mind right now. I don't think that's something that we should take too lightly. As I said just a little while ago, it's something I take for granted. And I can get up, go outside, go on a hike, do this or that. I'm just fine, but life can change at the drop of a hat. So working on your health and well-being is a good way to combat the sicknesses and the ailments that come our way. We can also work on dietary changes. Now, I don't know where my listeners, live in the world, but a lot of the American diet has been based on fatty foods. I've noticed a trend, like a shift, and I think Americans are being a little more health conscious these days. But if you travel anywhere in the United States, you're going to find fast food restaurants. You're going to find all sorts of junk foods and foods that aren't good for us. Now, I'm not advocating to go on a diet. For me, it's more about eating a variety of things in moderation. Just like it's bad to eat potato chips all the time, it's also bad to eat grapes all the time. You should be able to spread out your diet into many different foods and groups, categories. Make sure you get your veggies, your fruits, your meats, your proteins. And yeah, have a sweet or two. That's totally fine. Now, granted, I'm not a doctor or a dietitian, so don't necessarily take my word for it. But I've found moderation is a great tool. Something else I've been doing is I've been cutting back on my soda intake. So I used to drink a lot of soda. I'd probably drink soda on a daily basis, especially caffeinated. Admittedly, caffeine is something that is, I won't say crucial for me, but caffeine has been a good stimulant for me over the years. And I decided, I don't even remember how long ago now, maybe 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months ago, I decided to cut soda out of my diet. And that was really difficult, especially when you're coming off of caffeine. You start getting these caffeine headaches, and that can get a little rough. But if you can get through a week, you can get through 2 weeks. Once you get through that first month, you start to lose those cravings for soda. And it's amazing what it's done for me. I don't feel like I get as many problems with my teeth. I used to get toothaches all the time. And also, I don't have as many problems in my gut, in my stomach. It used to be really hard for me to sleep at night because I felt like I had so much air in my gut from all the soda consumption. So that's another thing that's gone away. And I have been able to lose a little bit of weight by cutting out soda completely. I bring all this up, again, I think moderation is the key. I don't think you have to necessarily give up certain things, but moderate a little bit. Instead of eating potato chips at lunch, try eating carrot sticks or something else. The last thing I want to touch on is, in regards to health and well-being, is exercise. I did talk about exercise earlier, but I want to talk more about exercise from those who work desk jobs at a computer, who live sedentary lifestyles like I've been doing for so long. It's really hard. It's really hard to get out there and start exercising and doing things when your butt is in a chair 8 hours a day working on stuff. You go home, and in this day and age, it's a digital era. You know, the TV's on. Maybe you want to sit down and watch something on your phone. We just want to be entertained. We've been working all day. And so this was me, probably about a year and a half ago now. So the years leading up to about a year and a half ago, I was in that lifestyle, just sitting in my chair all day, coming home, sitting again. And I was doing that day in and day out. Not only did I notice I was gaining weight, I found I was also feeling a little more depressed, and I was eating worse food for me because it made me feel good in the moment. So I remember sitting at my desk at one of my jobs. I was surfing the internet, and I saw some ad for some hiking boots. So I clicked on it and just looked at different boots, and I started dreaming of going on this backpacking trip. And I grew up in the outdoors pretty much. I did everything outside. I'm a big outdoors guy. And so I got bit by the hiking bug again and made me really want to get back into the outdoors and hiking and being active again. And so I tried going on a hike or two in the coming days after that particular day, and I was really winded. I could barely get up this easy hike, and my heart was pounding. I was really exhausted. I had probably 80-plus-year-old man cruising past me, and I remember thinking to myself, man, I gotta be like that dude when I get that age. And so at that point, I started taking exercise a little more seriously. Now, I didn't hit the gym. I didn't go running. I hate running. What I started doing is I started going on walks. And I would just go on walks around the block. And then I'd make my walks longer until I was walking maybe a mile or so a day. And that, over time, gave me more energy and more stamina to increase the workload. I'll go on a hike again, and this time I could get a little further without getting winded. Now, fast forward to this year, 2024, I decided to get really serious about things. I want to get toned. I want to feel good about myself again. And so I've been very good about going to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. So anyways, I'm at the end of my podcast here, at the end of this episode. And the question I'm going to leave you today is, what are some different tips or what advice do you have to become healthier? And maybe I'll make my question a little more specific, but it's along those lines. How do we become more healthy? I guess the question I'll ask you instead is, how have you seen the benefits of taking care of your health and well-being? So I really look forward to seeing your comments. I'm super excited to have you continue tuning into the podcast. And as always, if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, or you have any suggestions or questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I love getting your emails. It's the highlight of my day, and I'll be happy to address your questions on any of my future episodes. Well, you all take care. I'll catch you next time. See ya.
Thank you for joining us today on Echoes of the Willow. Take your first step today in taking control of your health and well-being. Although it is hard, your body will thank you later. Feel free to reach out anytime. We value your feedback and ask you to take the time to rate the podcast and leave a comment. Don't forget to share this with your friends and family.